Hey, it's Kaylee. You know me as the Parts Girl, and I work here at PartsEdge. Thanks for following this awesome journey as we highlight thought leaders and trailblazers, share best practices in fixed ops, and cover success stories of how dealers sell more parts and service. This is the PartsEdge podcast with Kaylee Felio. Welcome to the PartsEdge podcast. I'm very excited to be interviewing Steve Fishel. Welcome, Steve.
Well, thank you. It's good to be here.
Yeah, so I'm going to give you a quick intro to you, but I'm going to let you share your story. So Steve
Okay.
is the parts manager for Titus-Will Toyota. We got connected. It's almost been a year now. Well, we met a few years ago, but
Yes, correct.
working together, it's been about a year.
Yeah,
So I always like to just ask, how your story. How long have you been at this dealership? Have you always been with Toyota? Just to get a little background on you.
sure. Yeah. I got out of the Air Force back in 1987.
You're going to go that
Started.
far back? I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So I know.
You
No, I
have
was just
to.
gonna
It,
say,
it helps.
yeah. Well, it's kind of funny because I got out of the military right away. I started working at one of the other Toyota dealers here in the area because I had a tremendous amount of family and friends that work there. So I was in there for about 6 months, and they really wanted me to come up here and work for, up here at Titus-Will. And so I said, yeah. And that's next week would be 38 years that I've been here.
At
So
this location.
at
So
this
you're literally
location.
coming with the building, like you're one of those picture, like
Yes.
those stories.
Yeah, and our new building that we're in now is not new now, but it's been about 14 years ago. We built this new building, and so it's been really kind of cool. We were from an old building where Ford parts and Toyota parts were all side by side, and then we got our own extra building, and then they moved us into this new facility, and it's amazing. Yeah. So it's
Yeah,
been a lot of growth, a lot of different changes over a long period of time. So
that is a lot of change over
yeah.
38 years. Okay, so
Yeah,
what would you say the biggest change you've seen over the years and not maybe just your department or the industry,
sure.
parts overall, just what is the biggest change
Yeah,
that
so
you
I mean, as Toyota has progressed, right? Their vehicles kind of went from we used to just kind of say the mom and pop vanilla type cars, right? They were just reliable. They were,
Mhm.
we had one when I was growing up as a kid. That's how I learned to drive was on a 4-speed Corona, clear back in the day, 74. Woohoo.
Woo-hoo.
But
That's awesome.
yeah, so Toyota's kind of always been in the blood, and then it was kind of just a natural thing for me to progress over to it when I got out of the service, and then as far as Toyota's gone completely off the charts with all these new vehicles that they have, and just their kind of driving edge and stuff, and it's really been fun to be a part of. But our dealership as a whole is just not just for Toyota, but we have Ford, and we have Chevrolet, we have Hyundai, all that kind of stuff. So, we've got a lot of different dealerships we draw from, a lot of support that we draw from,
It's a lot of different
um,
perspectives too
a
with
lot of
different
perspectives.
manufacturers, because I think when you're only working with one, you kinda think they all operate the same way, but
Yeah,
they don't.
yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. And I feel really blessed that I landed on the Toyota side of things because I see some of the things they go through with Ford and Chevrolet and stuff and the different programs that they're all involved in and some of the nightmares and the challenges that they have. I'm very thankful I'm in with Toyota.
You are
So,
very, very
yeah,
lucky. My
yeah,
I always
absolutely.
my husband always jokes because he's a parts manager, he's like, "If there's a Toyota store that needs a parts manager, we're moving because that's where he wants to
I
be."
don't blame him. It's been a pretty amazing company to work for, and it's a tremendous brand to work for, right?
Yeah.
It's just Toyota's just so off the charts, well known all worldwide and stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's been great.
I try to choose to be, biased because we work with so many different brands, and I appreciate all I wish I could just I have a car problem, like, I've owned too many cars. I should probably have, like, 5 paid off cars by now, but I just like all the different brands, but I will say that Toyota is one of my favorite, partially because my husband's very much a Toyota person. I think if he could
Okay.
tattoo Toyota on him, he probably would, but
Yeah. Yeah.
um but they're just to your point, they're very reliable vehicles. One
Yeah.
question I did wanna ask you is, being working in with Toyota, the same brand for 38 years, and seeing the evolution of I guess, adding more different types of cars, how has that really changed parts management? Because I would imagine the part numbers population or where
Yeah.
am I using the right words? The that's
Yeah, you
gotta
are.
has, like,
Yep.
I don't even know the math, but, like,
Yeah.
quadrupled, like, thousands of parts. Yeah, so
Yeah.
how has that changed the way you manage inventory over the years?
Well, it is dynamic, right? I mean, because it's constantly changing, and one of the things you're learning. I've only been in this chair for 3 years as a manager, but one of the things you learn is as cars are getting older, you're cycling through these parts that are no longer needed because they're older. So you've got to learn and try and really let and trust the computer and stuff to help you with as parts are aging, it's time to move them out, right? And
Mhm.
then allowing for newer parts to come in and being receptive to making sure that you've got room for them. That you're constantly getting rid of the stuff that's older, bringing in the newer product. Yeah, there's a lot to go into it. It's trusting, that when they're recommending for the parts to be here, go ahead and let the system bring it in, and trust that the system, it's tried and true, right? That's why they have these programs in place. That's why you guys are so vital, right? It really helps. Like Chuck's done a phenomenal job with dialing down our source coding and stuff, which has
Mhm.
been so beneficial for me. We went from basically 14 and 15 different source codings to however many we've got going right now. This right
Okay,
back here on the wall is my source coding for you guys. So
I
it's
love that.
quite a
Oh, yeah, you
it's
have it printed, that's
yeah, I
awesome.
do, yeah, and
Now
I keep that one right there, so anytime I can just spin around and look when I'm trying to, get a feel for
yeah.
when parts are moving forward, what sourcing am I doing and do I want, and that kinda stuff, and so, yeah, I keep it really close.
Yeah,
So
I mean, it's kind of the guide, right? That's what
yeah,
it's not really supposed to be something for you to have to remember where to put all the parts, it's just that guide reference. I wanna dig deeper into that only because this week I've had a heck of a time with, some sales calls with I get some pushback sometimes, so I'm gonna kind of go on a
sure.
rant and dig into you a little bit,
Yeah,
but in a
okay,
good way.
well, I'll answer what I have skill for, and the rest of
No,
it will divert.
you're gonna do great. You're gonna do great because this is such a the fact that you said you had 14 to 16 sources before. Now I want, if you can share what DMS are you on?
So we're on Reynolds.
You're on Rounds. This is
Yeah,
perfect then. This is
yeah,
awesome because this is
yeah.
exactly the system. Now, with having that range of sources and PartsEdge adding we probably added 30, maybe 50 sources.
I'm thinking at least probably 30.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's substantial. But it's so much. Well, go ahead. I'll just let
Yeah.
you guide through it.
Well,
So, yeah,
yeah, and
yeah,
we're kind of, like, answering each other's questions. What was
yeah,
the
yeah,
biggest benefit for adding more sources? Because I always get pushback from some set of parts managers that are like, "No, I'm good with my 10, 15 sources. I have
right.
source by movement. Everything's working fine." So, from your
Yeah,
perspective, having what you had and you have a successful operation before PartsEdge
yeah,
came in, you were doing just fine.
right, right.
Share in your words what that shift was and kind of what came of that.
Yeah, so it's been pretty dynamic as far as where we were and the source coatings that we had and the parts that we were bringing in, whether it was sheet metal, whether it was the hard parts, the quick moving stuff, all that kind of stuff. We had our source coating that would help you through that. But with the ability that you guys have provided with Chuck and Blake and stuff of really narrowing down these source coatings to fit a certain parameter better, bring in a tighter window of hey, let's go to 2 and 9, or let's go to 2 and 6, or whatever the options that we've discussed that we felt like we wanted to give it a try, and then trust that we can work within that system to bring in the extra inventory, right? And in the meantime, while I was doing and we were doing that, we're kind of getting rid of some of the older stuff. And I was finding that what's really helped me a lot is there was a lot of parts I would hang on to for 15, 16, 17 months because we had a up to 18-month window where we could return back to Toyota without having to pay a restock. But what I found was once you're getting to that, and this is through talking through a couple of different managers, talking with Chuck and things like that, it's really not necessary for me to carry parts beyond about a 12-month window because as I'm holding on to that older inventory, it's taking up space. We're not moving it very quickly, but the stuff that we're trying to bring in now is crowding everything. And we need to have the stuff that it's needing to bring in so we can get this out the door to the next customer. So it's been pretty dynamic, and it's a good eye opener. And I don't care if you've been doing this job for a week or 20 years, or in my case, I've only been managing this part of it for 3 years. But
Literally, that's it. It sounds like every
yeah,
time I've talked to you, it feels
yeah.
like you've been doing it forever.
Well, it's just you just know you just know Toyota a little bit, but
Yeah.
I'm constantly learning. But one thing that was not something that really was a strength of mine. One, computers are not the biggest strength I have, but is trusting that the systems that are in place, these source codes are there for a reason, right? And someone like you guys coming on board and really helping me dial down these source codes that I didn't have quite the skill sets to sit there and want to sit down for hours at a time or whatever and draw up some new source coding parameters and different things like that. Being able to trust you guys in helping build that and putting that in place and monitoring that part of it so that I can go on to my other daily routines, and all the other stuff that I've got going on. I mean, Kaylee is truly a game changer. So, in the last probably 6, 8 months, I've done we've probably lessened my inventory by about about another 10, 12% but
What's
I've got
that
more.
quick math of that? What was your inventory
Well, yeah,
value?
we're talking. It went from 760,000 down to about 670,000. So,
And you have more of the right, so
and
you're
I've got
turning it
more.
faster.
Yes, and my turn rates are good. We're actually dialing down the turn rates. Matter of fact, I was working with Chuck last week a little bit more about, the whole turn rate issue and off the shelf filling and that kind of stuff. And we're working on dialing that down. I'm at 10 right now, and we're trying to get it down to about 8, 7 or 8
Yes, you were
turns.
turning it actually too high, so your techs were probably not
Yeah,
as happy.
so we're trying to get that right into that sweet spot, which is
Yep.
really nice that, we're learning that, and Chuck's guiding me through some of that. We're getting rid of some of the stuff that there's really no reason to be holding on to it. It's like I've got a part that hasn't moved in a year or 14 months. Well, give it back to Toyota. And then if we need it, okay, fine. Bring it
Yeah,
back in and we're just selling it.
for the
We're not
actual
holding
demand.
on to it. We're not stocking it. We're not wasting energy and time finding a home for it, that kind of stuff. So, we're really starting to see the benefits. It takes a while to really get a full scope of, kind of what's happening,
Mhm.
but I'm excited about it. I mean, we're going to kind of jump all over the map here, but
That's okay.
the time that it saves me has been amazing. So,
That is the biggest thing I hear from
yeah,
managers, and
yeah,
I just would love because it's hard to equate that to profit to a GM on, like, "This is saving me so much time," but it does equate to profit because I'm kinda speaking for you, but I'm helping you a little bit, but, like, you have more time to effectively stock what you need to stock to
yeah,
sell, and it's like a full circle because then you have it, then you are obviously probably increasing your shop hours. I heard that from several managers is the shop hours do increase. It just that is such a broad, KPI to track because there's a lot of factors. Did you guys add more
sure.
techs or certain things that we
Yeah,
can't PartsEdge can't say we fully affected this many shop hours, but
yeah.
in a way we do.
But you do, right, absolutely, because then I'm able to bring in more of the quicker moving or, the stuff that the cars are needing that's here in the shop versus, we're pretty large in wholesale and,
Nope.
we've diverted a lot of our volume from trying to have fenders and hoods and quarter panels and things like that on the shelf versus I would rather have brakes and rotors and, alternators and starters and, all the stuff that cars are coming in for that are more of a, just general easy. You're going to know that you need to have it. So let's have room on the shelf to stock it.
Mhm.
And by doing that, that's been freeing up a lot of space to allow for, by getting rid of some of the larger items, it really frees me up for having the more important, smaller, fast moving stuff that really is key to the shop. When your shop rates X amount of dollars an hour and you got guys standing around waiting because we're trying to special order a part, or I've got to run down the street to buy a part from another dealer and
Mm.
stuff. Oh no, it's better to just have it right on the shelf and get that thing moving and get it
So,
going. So
do you feel like, your special orders have decreased significantly to, I guess, feel it or see it?
yeah, I think there's a little bit less traffic as far as through the shop as far as special orders go. Wholesales, you're never going to try and factor that one in
No.
because you're just willing to order it and have it in the next day because the dynamics of the shop demand, the insurance companies, all that stuff, just that's a whole different rabbit hole to jump down. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, as far as our daily back counters, stocking parts, yeah, it's a less amount. I think we're doing a better job of getting it through, and the same for the front counter as well. So, a few more parts here and there to help the front counter customer. Not that that's your big driving source of business, but
Mhm.
you do still want to be able to, you know, be attentive to those customers and their needs too, because it's important for them. So, and so it makes it important for us. So,
Absolutely. I do
yeah.
wanna go back to the sources again.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
because I'm curious if you have source by movement set up at all? I mean, I think
We did. I
yeah.
think we were running 3 and 12 or something like that. We had it a little bit of, a little bit stretched out maybe and stuff, but I will tell you, so yeah, we can dive into that for a minute because it's kind of an exciting spot for me. So,
Yeah, that's what I
um,
thought. Okay.
we went from these, let's say 12, 13, 14, 15 sources, whatever, that are real main key sources to be dealing with,
Mhm.
to broadening it out and opening up a different parameter of when are we going to bring them in, right?
Yeah.
And the dynamics of that are huge. So I would just, perfect case in point, at the beginning of every month, our stock orders would come through and it will pull in parts from all kinds of stuff. And before we switched over to you guys, some of my stock orders that I would review would be 750 lines long, and it would take
750?
750.
How
And I would
long did
have
that
to,
take you?
it would take me a couple hours,
Yeah.
anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours, because as you're reading through that and you're really trying to make sure that if there's something you really want to bring in, you want to make sure it's there. But I was having to, just cut out page after page after page, deleting each line. And then after I'm done reviewing all the paperwork, then I'm going in and manually typing all and cutting all that out. So you're deleting line after line after line. So I would take a 750 line stock order for the first of the month and knock it down to something more palatable. Let's say it's 150 lines, right? You're deleting a whole lot of lines. You're taking away a lot of time. And it would be really quite tiring, right? Because you're just sitting here, you're just, nope, I don't want, I don't have the room, I don't want. Could I bring it in? Sure, I don't have the room, I don't have the space, and I don't want to spend the money on it.
Yeah.
Now, let's fast forward to where we're at now with what you guys have helped us dial in. My beginning of the month stock order is about 200 to 220 lines. That's more intentional a little bit. There are some items that could, and Chuck and I have talked about it, where I could even go dive into it further, but some of
Mhm.
that stuff I still want to be able to review.
Yeah.
I want to look at some of this stuff and decide, yes, I do want to go ahead and I have the room, I want to bring that in. Or if I don't have the room, I'm going to choose not to.
Yeah.
So I like it where we're at now. And I get through that order in, if I'm not being interrupted, probably 20 minutes. I can have everything done and then I can delete out the few lines here and there that I don't want, have a reasonable stock order, and it's just a game changer. And then fast forward to my everyday stock orders, they're far more dialed in on a daily basis. So those stock orders, I can probably be, if I'm not interrupted, in and out with 10 minutes,
10 that's the yeah, that's the
edit
goal.
down a few things that I choose not to bring in because of a size restriction, or I'm not gonna bring it in because I don't wanna worry about having a part that might be damaged coming in, but we're not inspecting and that kind of stuff. I'd rather do it, bring it in the next day, get it to the body shops. If there's a problem, we can work with the PDC, right, to get
Mhm.
some, get it taken care of, that kind of stuff, or inspect. I'd rather do it that way and keep the shelves moving for the stock, or, for the shop, right? So stocking
And
the stuff for the shop. So
if parts keep showing up that you kinda wanna test a little further, isn't there a process for that? Like, there's sources
yeah.
set up to kinda go down
Yeah, and
the
Chuck's got that all dialed in with, you're looking at stuff, say 2 through 9, 9 through, whatever numbers. I'd have to look back at what the exact guidelines are, but,
Mhm.
those will come in and they'll hit, and then I'll see that on the report, and those are the ones, you're gonna, if you got a, one that's showed up twice in the last 6 to 9 months, I'm gonna bring it in now. And that's another thing, to be honest with you, trusting the system. That, Chuck said it over and over, and talking to him about it, and also looking at it. So now when these reports are coming through and they're telling me, "Hey, bring in this gasket, bring in this valve, bring in this whatever," I'm going to go ahead and bring it in. I'm going to trust that it's going to move because the parameters are set for a reason and it's getting hit. Let's trust it. And I'm finding that that's really helping a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's something I think you've said it. I've wrote down trust, I don't know how many times, so
Yeah,
I
I
love
know,
that.
right? And
No, it's
it's
good.
such a
That's
but
what I say all the time in my
yeah,
presentations. I'm like, "You actually can trust the system," and parts managers are really good at guessing or having that intuition, but I feel like once we set this up, it's almost like it's just putting it's all the stuff that you intuitively know, but it's just getting there quicker and faster, and you're trusting it. Yeah, so that's, like, the probably what I'm hearing is the biggest benefit is having
yeah,
a resource or a tool that actually knows your system, knows how to set it up, and then it's fine tuning it with you. Because from, what I'm also hearing is, like, we didn't just set up the standard for well, we laid out a standard, but then we
yeah.
also the way that you do business because 'cause you're bigger in holes or sheet metal, right? Or not sheet metal.
Right, right,
You're in
yeah,
sheet metal.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we
Whereas some
are.
people aren't. So it's like, we have to set that up differently.
Mhm. Yeah,
No.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's been great. So,
Good.
yeah.
What advice would you give, parts managers out there, um, just what you've learned in the last couple years just being a parts manager?
Yeah, so, I mean, listening for one, right? So, when you're out and you're talking with other managers and stuff, and you kinda, get a sense of how they're doing it, their approach a little bit and stuff, you can gain a lot of knowledge, and nobody walks into this job and knows everything that there is to know. You learn it as you go, right?
I think that's every job. I'm
Yeah,
still learning about my job.
mhm,
I'm like,
right,
"What do I do?"
all the time,
Yeah.
all the time.
Yep.
But I've got a great support system here. I've got a our relationship with our service department is just top notch.
That
We
makes a
really,
huge difference. You guys are
yeah,
actually working together, it sounds like.
yeah, we do. We are always in communication, and I truly care about how they're succeeding, not just from a dollar standpoint, right? Because it's like dollars are one thing, but there's a lot of people connected between the two departments,
Mhm.
and there's a tremendous benefit by making sure they're taken care of, because in turn they're taking care of us,
Yeah,
and
and
we ultimately take care of the customer. So that's the biggest win.
together, that's the
Yeah,
biggest.
100%.
Would you say there's anything that you guys do culture-wise to keep you kind of, like, working as, like, a team or being excited, or is there anything special you guys feel like you do that or you
Yeah.
just are awesome together? I don't know.
Well, I think we do kind of a lot of what a lot of dealerships are doing. Like yesterday, we had a barbecue out back. It was kind of the last really good, really hot day for us out here,
Oh,
so it was
yeah.
in the
Tell
80s.
everyone,
And
where are you? We didn't even tell
yeah,
you.
we're in Tacoma, Washington.
That's right. It's getting
Yeah,
cold.
and so our summer's about to kinda end, and, we do these barbecues a lot and stuff, and it was, like, kind of the last big hurrah that we could do as a big group outside with it being warm and everybody's out visiting a little bit and stuff and staying connected to each other and stuff. But culture-wise, I think we're doing a good job of kinda regrouping our culture, and making sure that us as management between service and parts and or even our sales staff now we've gotten a lot closer even with our sales department,
That's a big
because
deal.
it is, and it's a tough thing to mesh all 3
Mhm.
together, right? But
Yeah.
we've got phenomenal people over there and they're on their side in the management position and stuff, and we all are on board to really kinda bring it back around where everybody's involved and willing to make sure all of us are taken care of, and I always say us, I mean the departments
The
themselves, not
departments,
us as
yeah.
managers, it's the whole department, and making sure the crews are taken care of, and yeah, we've got a good, real good support staff. Our top end, our GMs and the service and parts directors that we do have, they do a lot and they're very involved, and so you feel like you've always got a good support. So they never leave you out hanging and like you don't know what you're supposed to be doing. No, they got it dialed in. So
That's
yeah,
awesome. Yeah, it
yeah,
really shows. And my last question for you,
yeah.
I didn't realize I had this one on the list was, what would you tell or what advice would you give a parts manager or any type of leadership
Oh,
that's
yeah,
thinking about investing in a tool like PartsEdge? Because from my experience over the years, it's just not something there's not a whole lot of tools out there for parts. And then
yeah,
when you present one, they're like, "Well, isn't this their job? They don't need a tool." So, I
yeah.
guess what advice would you give someone that's listening that wants to invest in something like this?
Sure. Yeah, that's kind of what we had started, and I got rambling off on something. But
That's okay,
so
I forgot to.
right. So the beauty of it is really learning from, having an outside source like yourselves that help everything dial in. So I would tell other parts managers and stuff, we kind of get stuck in a rut. Like we know what we know. Um, it's nice to learn from somebody that comes in from a different angle and has a whole different approach to why something should be done in a certain way. And then sometimes it takes a while to really get that to sink in. But my advice is whether you've been doing this for a month or 20 years, at least maybe sit down and have conversations with you guys about the benefits of what you have. And are they really noticing that their inventory is as healthy as it should be for getting these cars turned, out the door and for
Yeah.
expediency, right? And for the customer benefit. Um, I don't feel we were as efficient as we could be. We were working off the same source coding, the same parameters that we've been working on for years and years and years.
You
Go
didn't
ahead.
feel like you were efficient, but on paper, you guys were profitable and doing well,
Yeah.
right? That's the
Yeah.
biggest thing that I get, like, objection, I get, is like, you know so I guess I'm just
Yeah.
kind of pushing back on that a little bit because that's amazing that you say that, that you
Yeah.
didn't
It's
yeah.
hard to know how, what I will just say this. One of the benefits that Chuck's been having with these group gatherings and stuff where we're all, multiple dealers all on a chat and we're all
Mhm,
looking at the numbers and the reports that you guys have sent out. We
mhm.
don't technically know who each other are because there's kind of code sourcing or code naming there. So you know what
It's
you
like a
are, but
twin
you don't
group.
maybe know who
Yeah.
somebody else is. Um, but it's nice and it's been really refreshing to, sometimes we sit back and we just do this job and we're just going and we're going and we're going. And it's like, well, how do I really stack up? I mean, am I doing a good job or is it just, yes, we got good dollars and so everybody's happy and we're,
Mhm.
we're holding a good profit and, that kind of stuff. But then when you see these reports and you're working with Chuck on these reports and you're understanding that, oh, hey, we're here. These guys are here. They're striving and moving forward. We're striving, and you're not looking at it like they're our competition. You're looking at it like it's a way and a benefit to learn from what they're doing. How are you holding up with their, what they're doing and you're doing,
Yeah.
um, and then coming out of it almost like with a report card that says, "Oh, hey, I'm kind of a B plus here or an A minus or whatever, and I'm not really a C like I think I might be on something," you know. But
That's a good
yeah,
reassurance, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of a nice, "Hey, we're doing all right." Where I mean, when you see where you're at and the industry norms and the benchmarks that the industry is at, and when you look at your numbers and you realize you're above those numbers and that you're actually doing really solid work, that's that good job kinda thing that, it makes you feel like, "Okay, cool."
Yeah. It's
We're
that
doing all right. Yeah,
Yeah, because I think that's what happens a lot in especially in parts is there's not really that I mean, there's the NADA standards, there's those types of things, but there's still I feel like I hear a lot is like you still kinda don't really know where you're at. And then there's different factors, where you're located, season, all those different things that you have to take into consideration that it may look good. You just may not look as good as other people because of different things, I guess that's what
right,
I'm
right.
trying to say, but
Yeah.
yeah. No, I love that. I mean, that I feel like that's a perfect wrap up too, because you've given so much advice and, it really helped me too because, sometimes when I have meetings, the really crappy meetings for the week, and then I hear someone like, "Oh, I get it. The sources are awesome." And I'm like, "Okay, what we're doing makes a difference, because sometimes I
Yeah,
question myself because 'cause I'm like,
yeah, sure.
"Wait, what how
Well,
do we not getting this?"
yeah, you're going, well, where's the value? Well, there's so many factors that have the value. The
Yeah.
time saved. Oh, this I'll put this out there. I hope this isn't going too long for you, but
No, this is
one of the
fine.
things I did really want to address was our Toro return, which is our allotment to Toyota to return every month.
Okay.
We have I've got 4 dedicated bins that those parts go in. Some are smaller, and then items that are larger. So I have
And you called it
I
a Toro
a
return?
Tora,
Toro.
Tora, but
Okay.
it's our Toyota return allotment, basically.
Okay.
So, when I would build that report, I would start out with the basic report. You put it in and you submit it out, and then you start going and editing down. With Chuck's help, the way these sourcings are set up and everything else, anything that pulls into any of those bins, I don't have to worry about source coding. I don't have to worry about changing over anything. I don't have to worry because you guys automatically set all that for me. So that right there saves me a ton of time. Then I basically go through a couple of quick yes, no kind of things. I want this to this, and I hit enter, and I might have $25,000 worth of parts populate in the stroke of a key. Before I would get like 2 or 3 or $4,000 that would load in, and then I would literally go through each one of those bins, run a report on them, and then I would have to hand type every single one of those lines in. So I might hand type 250, 300 lines on top of the stuff that auto populated, and that in itself is a huge time
Yeah, and
waster,
uh, it's a
Whereas
time
now
waster,
Chuck
yeah.
literally we've got it set up. I hit a key and that thing prints, and I've got, like I said, $25,000 worth of parts already populated into the return ready to go.
Oh my gosh.
And that is a huge game changer. Absolutely just saves me so much work. And then what I can do, Kaylee, instead of wasting my time doing all this hand typing and looking at and all that, I can run the report. I can sit and I can look through the report, find out a few items here and there that I want to take out, put back into the shelf because we have some history on it now.
Mhm.
So that'll save me from returning it. And then two, what it does is it lets me dive into some other reports and look at aged inventory, maybe dollar value inventory, different things of that, sourcing,
Mhm.
and then bring that in and start getting that weeded out of my inventory. And it's just that much more time I have to focus on that kind of stuff as well, which has really helped me start dialing down my, you know, over kind of wasted inventory,
Wasted
stuff that I
inventory.
just don't need here.
Yeah. So it's basically
So,
just get one dealer said it's like we get to the nitty-gritty of the data, so you're not having
yeah,
to dig for the data, it's all
yeah,
just kind of presented to you in this so that
yeah.
you as the manager doing your job should not can actually make those decisions rather than, what'd you say, 250 lines manually putting that in, that's just a waste of your time. It's
Yeah,
like
it's a huge
yeah.
waste, right? It's a lot of typing, and it will take me days to kind of go through that because you'll pick a section and you'll do that, then you're off to the next problem that's come up, or
Oh, that's the
Who knows? Well,
fires. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And so this is quick and easy within seconds. It's fully populated. Then I can start narrowing down. And yeah, it's been fantastic.
And it
So
all boils down to the sources. It's all
yeah,
about the sources.
100%.
But it's
Yep.
the stock orders, the reporting, the returns, like, there's
Yeah.
everything into
Yeah.
just keep saying that the more sources, the better. I just keep
Yes.
saying that. But with
Absolutely.
technology, that's the biggest thing I always have to remind people because I think, um, it's like they get overwhelmed with they're like, "Oh, no, that's a lot of sources," but it's like, "No, that's the technology piece of
Yes.
PartsEdge is you don't have to manage those sources. You don't have to
Yeah.
move parts. Even if
Yeah.
you
I
outsource
would
for
say
moving, that's
embrace those extra sources,
embrace
embrace
it.
them because
Yes.
they really help you be more dynamic with your inventory. So yeah.
Sounds like it. All the things we've
Yeah.
talked about today.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, Steve,
So
thank you so much for coming
yeah.
on to the show. I love getting to highlight some of our clients and get more parts people on the show. So if anyone's listening and you're a parts person, you want to highlight, the things that you're doing that's successful, please reach out to us because that's my goal is to highlight more parts pros on the show. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.